In this video, I want to talk about the Prophet Muhammad and how 1.9 million people around the world think that he's from Mecca. But is he really from there? Let's find out. I want to give you the answer right off the bat. The Prophet Muhammad could not have been from Mecca, simply because the geographic, the architectural, the physical, and most importantly, the Quranic evidence that placed the Prophet Muhammad in Petra, Jordan, not Mecca. One of the key reasons why Mecca could not have been the residing place of the Prophet is because where the Prophet was located was considered Quranically, in Quranic terms, the mother of all cities, making it a major trading city. But history has proved that this cannot be possible for Mecca. But for Petra, it fits perfectly. Mecca was not found on any map until 300 years after the Prophet was said to be born. How can Mecca be a major trading city and supposedly the center of the pilgrimage when the city wasn't even in existence nor documented for 300 years after the Prophet was born? Mecca does not have any distant valleys or substantial mountains around it, which is part of the Quranic concept of the holy site. Yet Petra has both mountains and valleys. The Jews have no record of Abraham in Mecca or even journeying anywhere near it. The Jewish Bible places Ismail growing up in Paran, which is a traditional home of the Nabatean people in northern Arabia. This is known and agreed upon among scholars that the pilgrimages were proven to be made to Petra traditionally. Zodiac dated to the 2nd century of the Christian era indicates that there are 2 annual pilgrimages that are done to Petra, which fits what the Quran suggests. Petra was a holy burial site, which the Nabatean Arabs would eat ritual meals in place of the tombs of their ancestors. Tribal burials took place at Petra and Hijra, and Petra being the more important of the 2 by far. Now, this fits with the Quranic narrative and in no way fits a description of the city of Mecca, that the earlier mosques pointed towards Jerusalem and then moved their direction towards Mecca. Unfortunately, that is not true, and it's not hard to prove it wrong, because unfortunately for them, we have technology today where we're able to precisely see the mosques up to the first 100 years of the Quranic revelation pointing towards Petra, not towards Jerusalem. Over the next 100 years, there was an element of confusion where about 12% were pointing towards Petra, 50% were pointing towards Mecca, and 38% were pointing parallel amongst both. And it only took 200 years after the Quranic revelation that the Hadith literature was accepted and became the primary source chosen by people to explain the Quran. And coincidentally, 200 years after the Quranic revelation, that all mosques built started facing towards Mecca. What a coincidence. I think that speaks for itself. The holy city is referred to in the Quran as Mecca in chapter 48 verse 24, and Mecca indicates some sort of sorrow. And apart from the fact that Petra was a burial city, which is obviously associated with sorrow, it's also experienced earthquakes in 363 of the Christian era. The Quran itself, which uses very few place names, focuses on North Arabia, the people of Ad, the people of Thamud. The cities of Lut and the entire narrative of what God speaks of is in northern Arabia, including the areas of Israel and Egypt. Nothing is happening in the southern portion of Al-Hijaz. The Quran itself treats these narratives about the people of Thamud and Ad as the people who are receiving this revelation. They knew who these people were because they were there and it referred to them. When did the people in South Hijaz pass by the cities of Lut every day? Unless you're going to ignore the Quran and take the Hadith as your primary source, which is what you've done. You would never place it in the south, you would place it in the north. Petra is entirely missing from the early Islamic literature, and I wonder why. Quraysh are known to have attacked Medina from the north. This makes sense if they were from Petra, but it doesn't make any sense if they came from Mecca. Mecca was never a major city on the caravan route, whereas Petra was a major city on a caravan route. There is no mention of anything in Mecca. However, extensive evidence exists over the same period of pilgrimage to Petra and Yemen. During the civil war of 683 of the Christian era, the Syrian army attacked the holy city with massive stones. Now, there's no evidence of these unique stones at Mecca. There's hundreds that exist in Petra. There's a shaft, which is a natural geological feature which forms in the deep split of the sandstone rocks and serving as a waterway flowing into Wadi Musa. This is the route that many people enter into Petra, and the Quran mentions it in chapter 22 verse 7. It talks about the people coming from Hajj and passing through it. Well, there's no deep split rocks that you can pass through in Mecca, but there is in Petra. So the evidence is overwhelming for Petra as the original city of the recipient of the Quran. So at this point, we're responsible for what we accept. God tells us to bring your evidence, so I'd love to see the evidence that you holding Mecca as the holy city. Because you're not going to find it anywhere in the Quran. You're going to find it in man-made books with no verification. So go out and verify, because you will be given account for what you have chosen to accept, as I will give account for what I have chose to accept. My main thing is that I'm interested in the truth, and from what I've seen from hadith-based Muslims, they don't have it. So I don't really care what anybody else believes and how they might think that I'm deviating from the truth. Your truth and my truth are definitely different. You formulate your truth based on a clean perspective of the source. Now, your perspective might be the truth based on your understanding, but you also got to take and elevate your knowledge a little further and say, am I getting my information from the right sources? Because your perspective is based on that. So question your source. So that's all I got. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share the damn video, and if you didn't, oh well.